Hey trainers, Alakaham here with some more Pokemon video magic, and we are coming to the conclusion of the Fossil Cup very soon, but I thought I would share what I felt was a fun team with all of you before the Fossil Cup concludes. And the MVP here is kind of Cradily. Cradily is a Pokemon that I really like, but don't get to use all that often. But it does provide some nice coverage against both flying types and the Mud Boys in the Fossil Cup. So this team's logic is basically to use ground double grass. So hopefully we take care of most of the potential steel types up front, or if not, then I will safe swap into the Ferrothorn in this first match. I think normally it's the Cradily. But yeah, so hopefully we can close with the grass types. Alright, so we are in this first game, lost the lead. Jellicent is going to do pretty well against my Whiscash there. So we are going to hop into the mirror match between these Ferrothorn. And I'm just going straight Thunder because Thunder hits pretty hard. I expect here that they're going to go ahead and use the Power Whip. Yeah, so Power Whip is going to be resisted just like Thunder, but it does less damage. So they did Acid Spray me first, but that's not going to make a huge difference here as long as I keep throwing the Thunder. So I do bait with my own Power Whip to get a shield. Overfarmed just a little there. I think I got a bit too greedy, but I'm pretty sure I let this go. Yeah, because I knew that we could survive one more Power Whip. And we do have a pretty hard answer to the Jellicent in terms of our Cradily that we have in the back. So I'm able to Bullet Seed down there, and they bring the Jellicent back in, trying to snipe, but before their Hex can register, I am able to throw that Thunder, and I get the last shield. So it was really good to be able to win switch there, because now, of course, I can align my Cradily with the Jellicent, and I knew that I could tank any one move from the Jellicent there, so they threw their hardest hitting move, which is Shadow Ball. That's fine. I did anticipate that our Grass Knot would be able to take them out, but of course Jellicent is a bulky boy. And it seems like my opponent was ABA weak to grass. So I wanted to switch out of that matchup to undo the debuff from the Bubble Beam, and also because I want to get some use out of the Whiscash in this particular match, so I figure I will just chip away at the Azumarill by throwing some neutral Mud Bombs. Mud Bomb doesn't hit that hard, but that's okay. The point isn't like to win the matchup here. The point is to just do some chip damage and try to force this Azumarill to throw some energy. We do get to that last Mud Bomb, which is pretty nice. Unfortunately, of course, that does not KO, so I'm going to have to throw the Grass Knot immediately, which is fine because I know that the Jellicent is energy dry at this point, so one more Bullet Seed was in fact able to farm down, and we are able to take game number 1. As a reminder, I play through full sets, and so you're just going to see what I'm doing in each of these matches, like playing all the way through the set. So this isn't like a highlight reel of my best videos. This is just messing around with one complete set here. Okay, losing the lead very hard to a Ludicolo there, which is double, maybe triple super effective against the Whiscash. So this time I safe swapped into the Cradily, which I think is more usual for me with this team, if I'm remembering correctly. We come across a Fire Fang Mawile, which, is bad news because it has access to fighting type moves, but also Fire Fang does not really hit all that hard against the Cradily, because Cradily is part rock type instead of part steel, so they probably had that in case of Ferrothorn, but fortunately my Ferrothorn is able to avoid it, and I can just bring in the little mud boy here, the little catfish with the whiskers, and I'm going to overfarm a bit, because, of course, that matchup against the Ludicolo is going to be very bad. So I want to make sure I have as much energy as possible so that I can potentially get off a blizzard against Ludicolo. Okay, so we are able to take out the Mawile, and those Razor Leafs immediately just started shredding through my catfish thing there, Whiscash. So I come in to try and absorb some of the energy and maybe farm down with Ferrothorn. It does take Ludicolo a long time to charge up to a move if it is running Razor Leaf. Unfortunately, I had to tank an Ice Beam there, which does neutral damage, but I was able to build up a lot of energy. So that means we are going to get to not one, but two Thunders against the Knight in Shining Armor there, the Escavalier. And two Thunders will do it. Escavalier is a very strong Pokemon, but it is also not all that thick. So neutral moves are going to really chip its health. Even resisted moves like the Grass Knot or whatever I had there would have done a decent amount of chip damage. But it was nice to get both of the Thunders through. All right, so came across a very good lead. We definitely want to see Registeel up front, and then my opponent swapped into a Jellicent, and I actually made a mistake here. I should have come in with the Ferrothorn, because Ferrothorn, as a Steel type, can resist the potential Ice Beam in case the Jellicent has Ice Beam. Also, it can use Thunder, which is going to not only hit really hard against water types, but it would give me some offense against the Registeel when the Registeel came back in. So I should have come in with the Ferrothorn, but it is what it is. I was able to take out the Jellicent and win switch, and then my opponent isn't throwing, which of course makes a lot of sense. They don't want to lose all of that energy, but that does mean that I get to do quite a bit of nice chip damage against the Registeel before they can lock on down. So I'm going to come back in with the Whiscash. Obviously, you want the ground type against the steel type there. We take a pretty decent chunk of damage from the Focus Blast, but that is fine because in the back, my opponent has their own Whiscash, and they're going to struggle hard against my Ferrothorn. So the double grass typing worked out for me there, and we are able to take game number 3. Okay, gearing up for game 4 here. Same team leading Whiscash. This time into a Jellicent, so I'm going to safe swap. This time switching into Cradily was the right thing because Cradily is the soft counter. So what we really want to do is save our Ferrothorn for the end game there. My opponent did let the Stone Edge through, which kind of surprised me, so I'm actually just going to let it go, and I'm going to come in and farm as much as I can with the Whiscash. I did not think that my opponent had farmed up enough energy for multiple drill runs, so I guess I just lost count or something there. But, oh well, my opponent brings the Jellicent back in as one would expect, and I'm going to throw these Mud Bombs because even though they do less damage than a Blizzard, generally speaking, Blizzard is going to be resisted, and the Mud Bombs are going to do neutral damage, so spamming a lot of Mud Bombs seemed like a better move to me. Unfortunately, when I swap in Ferrothorn, I take a pretty decent chunk of damage, and my opponent brings in a Mawile, which is really bad when matched up against a Ferrothorn because it takes double super effective damage from those fire-type moves because it is steel and grass. So Whiscash can do hypothetically pretty well here, but there is no way that we are going to take down the Jellicent in enough time. I'm just playing the game through to play the game through. They did not need to use the shield, so little flex on their part there. And makes a lot of sense. Good game to my opponent. They did a good job of controlling switch advantage there. and it worked out for him. So nicely done. That brings us into Game 5, the final game of this match. And again, we come across a Steel type on the lead, which is exactly what I want to see. Unfortunately, the Lucario beats me to the first move, so they get to that power-up punch, which of course is going to ramp up their attack strength. So these fast moves with counter are going to start doing a lot of damage here as well. Now, for Lucario to work well, you kind of need to ramp up those attacks quite a bit. So my opponent has committed both shields, and I'm going to go ahead and commit one more so that I can potentially land a move. And I expected my opponent to switch out, so I held on to that energy and banked the Mud Bomb on my Whiscash. So the opponent brings in a Jellicent, and of course I have an excellent response in Ferrothorn. So I was able to do the right thing this time, brought in the Pokemon that performed best there. We get that Power Whip through, and I'm going to go ahead and blind throw the next Power Whip, expecting that my opponent was bringing in their Lucario, which they did. And Lucario is very glassy, y'all. It hits really hard, but it cannot tank a move. So even a resisted move like Power Whip could go ahead and take out that Lucario. So my opponent has a Lantern in the back. That's fine. I can safely let the Ferrothorn go. And I have another Grass type in the back, so we are easily able to take out the Water Electric Lantern there. So playing with this team was a lot of fun. I certainly enjoyed trying the double grass strategy, and it was nice to have two different sort of cross typings, a grass steel and a grass rock. And just for funsies, I decided to include a little bonus battle here of another team that I ran. Again, just because I thought it was sort of fun, and I think you may enjoy it. This is also in the Fossil Cup. So this time I'm leading Ferrothorn, and it's into a Mawile, which is terrible. So what I'm going to do here is farm up a little bit of energy, because the Mawile is going to be a problem for other Pokemon potentially here as well. I'm just going to let them take out the Ferrothorn, but they don't quite do it with the power-up punch, so I am able to throw the Thunder, which will do big damage on the Mawile. So I take shield advantage there, and I come in with the Jellicent. Jellicent is not going to be threatened by this Mawile. The Fire Fangs are resisted even when they're ramped up. Power-Up Punch is resisted. The only thing they could potentially throw is like a Play Rough or a Iron Head, but those aren't going to do especially threatening damage to Jellicent either. My opponent brings in a Registeel, and we are able to secure that next shield. Of course, I want to use one of my own shields to protect the Jellicent, because Zap Cannon would one-shot from that range. And to reset that debuff, I'm going to bring in my Tyrantrum, which is a rock type that's brand new, a fossil type that was released, and I thought it would be fun to use a fossil Pokemon in this cup. So my opponent responds with a water type, a Lantern, which is a pretty good response to a rock type. But even though it's not very bulky, Tyrantrum has a pretty good moveset. As you can see, I'm running Dragon Tail there, and also Crunch. And my opponent gets nervous, and instead of going for the Hydro Pump, which would have been an automatic KO, they went for the Thunderbolt. So now I can come back in and get some extra chip damage on the Registeel, and they underestimate how much energy I have. I'm able to get to another Crunch. These neutral Crunches are doing big damage. They are going to have to throw to take me out. They try to farm down so that they can have that Zap Cannon ready for my Jellicent, but they are not able to do it. So Tyrantrum didn't win just like a lot of matches for me, but it was pretty fun to use in a few sets there. And I think that its moveset will be more beneficial in the overall great, like in the open Great League. But its typing still makes it difficult to use. It did get a nice moveset, though. So Tyrantrum, decent spicy pick. I think that you will enjoy if you decide to use it. And I had some other battles lined up potentially as well. I think, as you could see at the end of the video there, I had an Araquanid team, so that was kind of fun to use for a while. In any case, the Fossil Cup had some interesting, enjoyable possibilities, but it was also, became a little more repetitive than I would have liked by the end, so I am ready to move on to the next thing, to get back to Open Great League and the other cups that will be opening up soon. If you had a team that you ran that you enjoyed and you want to share with me, I'd be happy to hear from you in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed the content of this video, please give it a like. I would really appreciate that, and I hope to see you here for the next video. Until next time, trainers.